Okay, I weigh and measure 3 meals a day today from this, the clarified gray sheet, which is what I did before it came out. Like, so nothing changed. I'm so grateful to those that did that. So anyway, that's what I weigh and measure my 3 meals from. First, I write it down. Then I call my sponsor at a certain time. And I'm super lucky. She's so flexible. I don't eat anything in between my meals, no matter what. I don't skip any food today because a little bit ago I had a bout with anorexic thoughts or anorexia, which I thought was a joke because I used to pray for that. And it was the most important thing in my life without exception. And I mean no disrespect to anybody who's anorexic when I say that. I'm sick. I have an eating disorder. I have a disease of compulsive overeating. And part of my sickness as I was a young adult and becoming overweight for the very first time in my life was this very bad mentally ill desire to wish I could be like other people in OA, where I was going to get help at the time, which isn't for me, but it was which I thought it was for me at the time. Anyway, and I used to pray to God, please make me bulimic, please make me anorexic, not realizing that I had grown up anorexic, but I didn't not eat. First of all, I never threw up on purpose, which I guess is why I begged to be, I shouldn't have said bulimic, to be, I asked God to let me be a purger. I was bulimic, I just didn't know it. I was an exercise bulimic. I just didn't know that's what it was called. I would spend hours and hours and hours. Again, as a young adult in my 20s, my whole growing up, I was very, 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 very skinny, and I didn't eat. I was told from my parents it was just a manipulative weapon that I used against them. I did not eat because I thought I was fat. A matter of fact, so I was a very, very picky eater, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons I was so skinny. And also my dad was a homeopathic dentist. And even though my mom was overweight, she was very cognizant of that. We eat very healthy. So growing up, we ate gray sheet food with a healthy starch. So it was gray sheet with exception. It was everything on the gray sheet, plus, like I said, a healthy starch and whenever desired, depending on the type of meal, it'd be like a healthy carbohydrate that you'd have with poultry or meat, or on Sunday mornings, this thing that almost anybody could eat any day of the week, but it was an ethnic thing that our family ate on Sunday mornings. So the point is, it wasn't like the regular flour carbohydrate. It was from the health food store, and it was holistic and all these things before the word wild and organic even came out. Anyway, so I don't know why I went on that tangent. So I was really skinny. I didn't even weigh 100 pounds when I went into college. I was 5'2", and then in college, I gained from freshman to senior year 2 inches and 50-something pounds. So I ended up being 1/3 of my body weight more when I finished college than when I went in. And it wasn't 4 years. I rushed everything. So I didn't go to 12th grade, where we grew up in New York, in America. And so I rushed that. And then, and I come from really loving, educated, cultured, not wealthy, just like normal, I guess, middle class family, and Jewish family. And thank you so much, Barbara. And just to point out, for anybody that grew up really, really overweight, I got my butt kicked, my ass beat up, come home bloody. I don't mean just like verbal insult and stuff, bloody, 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 and not even from the boys. They did a real number on my psyche and my low self-esteem and all of that because I hadn't developed yet. I got my period really late, which like explains a lot. So I was, it was the summer before freshman year of college, and I first get my period at 16 and a half. And so then everything developed later, and I grew breasts and I got taller, and then boom, the eating disorder just took off. I was one of us growing up. I just didn't recognize it and the pediatrician and my parents, because I was adopted at birth, and my family, my parents were a generation older than most parents, and my mom couldn't have kids. She had a hysterectomy, and so food was love, and they were from the Depression generation, and they didn't want anybody from the adoption agency or a relative or anybody to think that, like, oh my God, they weren't feeding me. So it was, I don't know how to say it, there's this Yiddish word, it was a shonda. Like, it was really bad that I was underweight. And so like they pushed food on me all the time, and in a loving manner, and then the pediatrician pushed food and these nutriment shakes that were this supposedly taste like this brown stuff that people go to the junk food store to get. But anyway, it just it was like a really bad upbringing outside of the house. Inside of the house was like really wonderful and loving and stuff. And so anyway, so I got beat up for being skinny. I got beat up for being short, and I had a really high squeaky voice, higher than I have now, and I couldn't protect myself. And we were in an area that was ethnically very different than mine, and all of my friends got sent to parochial schools, or if they were Jewish like us, to yeshivas and stuff. And my parents did something really beautiful, and I appreciate what they did, and I'm grateful they did it. Like, they wouldn't do that. I don't even think they could have afforded it, but we were to grow up with everybody else, and it didn't matter that I was the only white kid or the only Jewish kid, because all the other kids got taken out of school. I just got my butt kicked all the time. And so when I got to college, I just ate. I just ate and ate and ate. I ate over all the boys being cruel to me in high school, and telling me that I was like worthless and ugly and stupid. And even though my parents would say like none of it was true, and it just was hard, like being the only kid, being in high school and then in college, like not having boys ask you out, and the boys telling me like, why would they want to go out with me, because I look like a boy. And so I found solace in food and more food, and then babysitting, and which I did growing up, but like it never clicked that I would eat half the box and leave it for them to find that the bottom half was empty. The same thing with half-gallon containers, go into their free. Like, I did all the stuff I did in college, but I guess nobody ever shamed me or said anything. And the people I babysat for, like, they're like, open house, you eat whatever you want. They really treated me beautifully. And the same thing in college, like I went to music conservatory at Hart College in Connecticut, part of University of Hartford, and then for my master's in music education when I got back to New York. And I didn't play piano like all the other kids that stayed in the practice rooms for 7, 8, 9 hours. I stole the janitor's key once because there were in the school to get into the professor's office, because I knew I did it partially because there were like tests there, not the answers, but just like the tests. But the real reason was she had like all this food in her desk, and I wanted it when I was practicing. So I would leave the practice rooms to go up further up, and I made friends with a janitor, and if he didn't give me the keys, I would take them and just eat and eat and eat while all the other kids were doing thank you. We're doing their work. And so I just like in the beginning, the first 2 years of school, I was rewarded like everybody when I would come home. Oh, that's so great. You gain weight, you gain. And then finally my aunt senior year, she did what my mom wouldn't do. My parents were like, oh, you gained weight. And now maybe you think you're overweight, but there's more of you to love. Like that's where I come from. I got fat. I was like a size 14 and they said, oh, there's more of you to love. And I'm like, oh God. So I was humiliated and my aunt didn't feel like my parents. She's like, this is not acceptable. She was like, all the people in Gray Sheet, I hear about their parents were super judgmental and stuff. And she loved me, but she had money and she didn't mind spending it. And so she took me to diet center and that was very much like Gray Sheet with the food choices, but I would lose the weight and then gained it back. And then I went into OA. Weight Watchers didn't work for me because there were too many yummy things on it that I'm allergic to. I'm allergic to sugars, grains, and starch. They mismetabolize in my body. That's why I have to read every single ingredient on the Gray Sheet. First of all, I love my food. I spent too much time on the history. Barbara is such a sweetie pie and gave me the boundary times, but I wasted all that time on my foodalog. Oh yeah, by the way, while every single one of my girlfriends got married, I found every guy in the tri-state plus a guy who this pompous asshole doctor in Pennsylvania, but Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, who all took it made their responsibility tell me I was too fat to date. And one guy told me if I lost 20 pounds in the first 20, like maybe he would think of going out with me, but like I got to lose the first 20. And then somebody else told me when I was dating them, I was like, it was unacceptable. I was like a 12. It wasn't like I was a 30, whatever, but I was like 40 pounds overweight. And this disease is really, really horrible. You don't have to be 300 pounds to hate yourself. You don't have to be 300 pounds to have people be discriminatory and racist, whatever it's called when they discriminate. I forgot the other word. And just evil. And said one person I was dating, he said he would give me the key to his house and we would get engaged, but like I had to drop 2 sizes first. And anyway, so my friends all had their kids and their kids went to parochial school and had their confirmations or communions, and my friends that were Jewish, so their kids are already bar mitzvahed, and then they all go into college, and then I got abstinent, and I had a million day ones in 1991 in 1992, and then I finally surrendered all the GreySheeters. Oh, my sponsor in OA told me, and OA was a wonderful place for other people, but I'm a pickle and they're all cucumbers, and my sponsor told me there, you are a pickle. You have gone over the edge. We are cucumbers, like we can do this. And it was not the OA in Cambridge. It was this awful OA in New York where people were lovely, but the program was horrible in that. And I'm so happy it works for other people, but I can't be told, Bubala is okay, it doesn't. And meanwhile, I'm crying and suicidal that I'm 40 pounds overweight. It's okay, just read the big book. Now this book, the big book had stains all over it from the boxes, bags, and half gallons and multiple pints that I'm eating. And in that program, I just want everybody to know, it works if you work it, like anything works if you work it. But from 1980 to 1991, I lost the weight 10 times. I got to maintenance 10 times in OA, and I gained it back 11. I gained it back 11 times. And Gray Sheet is the only place where, and in Gray Sheet too, I lost 50 pounds and gained it back in 1992 until I stopped relapsing at the end of 1993. But my abstinent date is November 18th, 2004, because I skipped a fat. So I love my food. I read ingredients. When in doubt, leave it out. When in doubt, check it out. The knife has to go across the cup and wipe underneath. Like these are things, that's my time. Glasses, now that I'm old, like since I went into menopause, when I'm 50, like they didn't have the smartphones where you can like make the ingredients bigger. So well, not when it started happening with my eyesight. So glasses, dollar store is great. I have to take glasses wherever I go and back up wherever I go, and my time is up. And hopefully I'll remember to say more pertinent things next time. Just the fact that GSA works. It works if I work it. Service meetings, 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 and more meetings. And dare I ever, ever, ever not help another compulsive overeater, I will gain all my weight back and be jealous of my girlfriend that was successful at suicide. Thank you.